To order at
Let's say Shane is muted.
Yeah, I am muted.
5:30.
Yeah, nobody's on Zoom, but I'll
Okay.
record it anyway, 'cause that's how we.
Okay, so those of you who are here, did you get a chance to look at the minutes?
So in regards to,
Questions?
so section 6, update on the work of the zoning subcommittee on multifamily housing, is that in reference to the PA 21-29
Yes.
subcommittee?
And we're
Part of
meeting
zoning,
again tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah, and Janet Hill is doing an enormous amount of work for it.
She is.
Oh, she's amazing. Okay, so is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Yep.
Shane?
Second.
Okay. Okay, we really need this, but this is a copy of the calendar because it's the second Tuesday of the month.
Valentine's Day.
I know. I mean, I
It's
guess
all
we
right.
could change it. It's all right. It's only 5:30, so you could celebrate at 6:30.
She would be very surprised if we did it.
Okay. So, all right, so, I don't know whether we need to have a motion on, but maybe you,
The other commissions do, so I would.
there what?
The
They
other
do.
commissions do.
Okay, so can somebody move to
I
accept?
make a motion, we accept the dates for the meetings.
I second it.
Okay. Okay, so the next thing is that Habitat for Humanity, Michelle got an email from Diana Arpine about the fact that the two new, Habitat for Humanity houses, plus the last one that was occupied last, will be able to be included in our affordable housing, numbers.
Right.
So that is great
She
news.
said because they follow the HUD income guidelines in vetting their applicants, the housing department said that was fine. So that's
Cool.
exciting.
That's
That
awesome.
is exciting.
Folks, I had a question about that. Is it like, with a lot of homes, they have to be deed restricted for a number of years. But like with a USDA or a Chapter mortgage, it's only Big A affordable while the mortgage is in place? Is it more like that?
I'm gonna guess that it's more like the CHAPA, because the original owner is vetted, and the second mortgage that Habitat holds is for 15 years, and so if it's sold, there's some kind of mechanism. And I think Habitat has first right to a refusal to buy it back, depending on how far into it, so at least for that first owner, and then after that, it depends if Habitat buys it back, or if it.
So what I'd be curious also to know is like, I realize they do a whole different financing thing where it's like 350,000, but you've got a set rate, and so it ends up being the same or less if you had a mortgage, right? What if you decide to sell after a year? What do you have to pay them?
Well, yeah, so there's that second mortgage that Habitat holds.
Okay,
So, and you work it off with each year, so I think they hold it for
okay, so
15
there is
years.
actually, even though they say it's 350, there's actually, sort of a real world mortgage.
Yeah, you can even see it, because I was trying to figure out how it was structured, and you can go online to the clerks and see it, but yes, so there's a first mortgage for 250 and a second mortgage that Habitat holds for 80, which is
Okay.
paid down over 15 years, but not actually paid, forgiven. Incrementally, so with each year, it's like a tick off.
Right,
And if you sell before that,
I know.
yeah, I don't know, Habitat gets the right of first refusal, or you sell it for the full price and you have to pay Habitat back that much, I don't know.
So, and then the last thing is that, like, we've been using, Vincent Property to use these numbers, Myfield use these numbers, at an affordable price at 60% median. was like 165, and at 80% of median, it was like 195. So those have sort of become
Those have been
routine
numbers.
numbers, but I don't really know what they are today, because things change.
Yeah,
Anyway, okay.
and until we've got another one. I don't know.
So, the project has been begun. As far as we know, they do not have people that are going to be buying these or working on them, right? So we need to, they would like us to, publicize the fact that they need people to get into these homes. So, I have some flyers here. Do you know of some places that you could maybe put these flyers?
Well, I guess, my question, a friend of mine, Christine Keyhole, who lives up in Blanca's old house up there, they backed away from it because the paperwork was so difficult to get through, the application process.
Oh, really?
So, I mean, passing those up, but do we have somebody available to maybe help with the process of filling out the applications? Because these two people whose rents just, I was talking about when Michelle walked in, that they love to stay in town, nice young couple.
Was this the couple that was at the,
It was one of the
break-
couples that was
ground-
there, yeah, that was there,
groundbreaking?
the paperwork got to be so overwhelming with what was going on, they backed out of it. But now they're looking for a place in Torrington because they can't afford their new rent of $2,500 come March 1st. So, so the question is, do we have anybody, and I'm not trying to push anybody in,
yeah,
is there anybody at the Habitat level who,
that's a good question.
It's a good question, and I'll follow up.
I mean, I'd love to have you, again, I don't know whether it's in your wheelhouse or not, but have somebody call Christine and say, well, what difficulties you do have in more detail, so maybe we can take it to
That
the
sounds
Habitat,
like a good
take
idea.
it to the Habitat level and say,
So what is,
Yeah.
can you share their name? I mean, can you write down their name and contact? I don't think we should share it here.
I'll just write it on this piece of
Out loud.
paper and I'll pass you a note.
So Judy, just a little background too. The housing trust used to have a full-time employee.
Yes,
Actually, it was a Tammy Laus. And one of the things that she did besides, sort of oversight of all of the units that the trust had at Dodge Farm and
Right.
Riverwoods, whatever, was she also conducted training of residents who were tenants. They were renters, and she basically, there was a whole program to get them up and running in terms of getting their credit together, budgeting, learning how to get qualified for a mortgage. And then,
thank you.
and then ready to get a mortgage, okay? And it might be interesting for the housing commission to actually speak to somebody like Tammy Lass or Amy Anderson.
Where does Tammy live now? She live in town
I'm
still?
not sure where she lives, but she works for the organization that Bill Fairbairn has been at for many years.
Tammy Loud says?
Yeah,
Oh,
she's like,
who was the other? There's another name that's connected with them.
The person who now works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it in my head.
I know,
Before, and it just popped out. It'll come to me when I'm not thinking of it, but that does sound like for the down payment assistance program that we have. There's a class that is run by the. I remembered this when we were doing the flyers, and I don't remember Housing Authority, it's not CHAPA, but it's a nonprofit that
Right.
helps. And I forget if it's like a 6-hour course on budgeting and paperwork and all of that. And we require it, Housing Commission requires it in order to apply for the down payment assistance. So there is that.
That's in Danbury, right? Like they,
Yeah, you can also, at least, last time I spoke to them, which was almost a year ago now, it was online as well, so you
Oh,
don't have
yeah.
to go to Danbury,
that's
but
awesome.
you would think also that Habitat would
Would
have
have
had to
somebody
have dealt
say-
with this before. and
Yeah.
so they would have a way of training people.
well, and anybody who's looking at that Habitat housing is eligible for the down payment assistance program. So if they decide they could maybe do the class.
I mean, I just have to look at it.
Oh,
I'm trying to-
you have to.
I'm sorry.
So you're not talking about the property manager?
Well, the property manager, Tammy Laus, who was.
No, it's
following-
Anne Marie Ovid.
I don't know
She's
who
the new one.
That person is now. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that in the housing trust, their property manager, are you,
I'm on that right now.
Yeah.
That is Anne Marie Ovid,
oh, okay, so that's the new person, yes, okay.
although she's been there for a while.
The other thing is our social services, person might be able to help with some paperwork. She helps people fill out fuel assistance
Yes,
funds and rent assistance, you know, that is her wheelhouse. So if Habitat doesn't have somebody, our social services.
Missy.
Yeah,
What's Missy's last name?
Brown.
Brown, that's easy.
So we should definitely try to see if we can find some help.
Yeah. Yeah, and Missy said that, you know, there are a lot of people in town that cannot afford the rents here. Anyway, do you two men here, or Chris, know of any places we could post these?
May I see it?
Did you put one at the library?
I didn't put one yet, not
I
yet.
saw one on the bulletin board here in the hallway. I would put one at the market. The liquor store has a bulletin board.
Yeah,
And library, those are my go-tos.
I mean, we could put them everywhere, we put them at Marty's, put them at 9 Main. I mean, you know, they've got bulletin boards just for this kind of stuff, I mean, you know, why
Yeah, I'm
would?
trying to picture, I'm just trying to picture places with the bulletin boards.
so are you
Well, I'm
willing
just saying,
to,
you know, somebody walks in and gets a cup of coffee and says, oh shit, I'd love to live in town,
are either of you willing to take any, a couple of
Yeah.
these? You wanna, what do you wanna do?
give me 6 of them.
So, we think like getting them out to the road crew, to the fire department, to the schools.
There were people, yeah, that's a great idea, to the people who. Actually,
I'll give you a couple.
okay,
Well, it's the next topic, but I was gonna say, we did
Yes.
schedule the work.
We did schedule it,
Yeah,
okay.
the 16th. So 15th? Oh, right.
What day of the week is it? Wednesday?
Wednesday,
That would be the
right after our
15th.
meeting. That was the date I asked you about. I asked Diana, she
The
said
15th?
yes.
That's the 14th is our meeting.
yeah,
The
So we went-
14th.
So we went with the 15th, because we didn't
Oh,
do it
oh, the
on
day
Valentine's
after.
Day.
Okay,
Because we didn't know if that would preclude people from coming to a workshop being Valentine's Day, so.
yeah, so we are
Wow.
going to have Habitat do a workshop here for Washington residents, or anybody who wants to attend,
yeah. On the 15th,
on the 15th
February.
of February.
at what time?
6 o'clock,
Excellent.
and, Diana, we just emailed about that, I don't know, last night, this morning. And, we'll get a flyer and it'll go in the selectmen's email and we'll hang it. So I almost wonder if we wanna wait on some of the generic flyers until we have the specific, the one for the workshop next month.
Okay. Can do that.
But these with the QR code are great, because they can just go online.
Yeah,
Start getting the information, so it doesn't hurt.
Maybe you could get a couple up to like the Rumsey teachers and the Gunnery teachers.
I will do that. I have to go to the gunnery tomorrow. The gun school tomorrow. And I can go to Rumsey. So I will do those.
It's about an hour or,
She said an hour to an hour and a half, depending on how many people are there.
okay,
So that, which implies there must be some kind of question and answer or
oh yeah, I'm
something.
sure.
Yeah,
I know that Woody had said he was gonna get some information out to the churches, but I don't think he's done that.
well,
I'm
that
not
was, I
sure.
think once we said it, we, you know, most of the churches probably have a bulletin board. as
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
So that would be a good
definitely.
place to post it.
I'll take care of the churches too. Okay, so Michelle went to the Northwest Connecticut Regional Council meeting. It was basically, well, you can talk about, but
Yeah, well, and
mostly
you know what, I
bylaws.
forgot. We talked about it at our last meeting, because the council meeting was on the 9th. And then housing was on the 15th.
right,
But I'm on the committee to talk about where to move what to do with the regional housing council, and I just thought I would share. The reason we're talking about, so the reason, regional housing council, here's a brief history, I won't read this whole thing, but. The original Northwest Regional Housing Council was formed in 1987 under a state program. They formed them in all parts of the state and it came with funding. In 1995, the state funding was eliminated and therefore most of the regional housing councils fell apart. But the Northwest Regional Housing Council decided to stay together. And it's made up of all the member towns. So since 95, it had been sort of operating through the COG, which is the Council of Governments. And I just wanted to share that one of the original members at that point was Jack Boyer from Washington. So that's just kind of nice, you know, Washington.
Trust.
Been on the docket for a long time. So the purpose of the Regional Housing Council is to create a forum for all the different little housing trusts and housing commissions and anybody working on affordable housing in the Northwest corner to come together, have speakers, learn from each other, get updates on the projects. David Berto, who works for, I think it's called Housing Enterprises, helps with grant applications. And so it's just a sharing of information. But Jocelyn, who had been the facilitator at COG, left COG and went to the Litchfield County Center for Housing Opportunity. And they're sort of proposing moving from the COG to that organization. And she said, because it's a mission of theirs, there wouldn't be any cost. But we have to vote on that. So that's kind of, they're just trying to figure out sort of how the structure works. The bylaws are very old and aren't actually being followed. So it's sort of a housekeeping. The intent is not for the mission to change, but to just kind of reorganize in a new place. So that is what the last meetings were about, and the small committee that I'm working with is working on. And the next Regional Housing Commission meeting is February 14th in the morning, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think I wrote it down.
Where are they meeting?
Popular day.
14th.
Yeah.
So they've been virtual, so there's online. I don't think anybody's anywhere.
Well, they used to meet in places, so, anyway, we would, like, for instance, when they, in Cornwall, with that project they did behind, the stores,
Mhm.
Cornwall Bridge,
Yeah,
okay, so they would have a meeting there, for instance.
well,
But
so
anyway, so it's all virtual now, so that's what it
it's
is.
virtual. I think Jocelyn works from home. I don't think Litchfield County Center for Housing Opportunity has a office. Not
Have a building,
I don't think so. And Lindsay, her assistant, works from home as far as I know. And, but they have a relationship and a partnership with the COG. And so if there's need of a space, the COG has said that that they would be willing to offer that.
so I get all the mailings from the Fairfield County
Center,
mothership.
okay, yep,
So is she about to have a website or
she
something?
does.
Oh, so
But sometimes their logos are next to each other and sometimes hers is their own, but yes, so they're like a spin-off.
Okay, so that's that. Lindsay said that she was gonna come to the meeting, but she was gonna come late. I don't know whether we should wait on this next issue, because she had a meeting with Bill and David Berto and maybe Ted Bent, I don't know. But she met with them regarding the Baldwin Hill project. And there were all these steps that were gonna be taken care of by the next meeting, which is gonna be January 18th at 5 o'clock, and that's a Zoom meeting. But it's been a little frustrating because we have not been able to get Mike Alex to do the survey. So I emailed her and I said, could we do so she's got somebody, Ken Rica. Do either of you know him?
Yes,
Rick, yeah, it starts with an H, I know that name.
so I mean, Ken's a very capable engineer, but, in a meeting I had with, Peter Eversole recently, it's like he couldn't get a hold of Ken, then maybe in a year.
Well-
So then if Mike Alex did the original survey,
No, he hasn't done it.
no, who did the original survey?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, I can't get a hold of Bill Fairburn either.
So
it's like-
you have to do it, because you have to show up in this office and you wait for him, and then you can get him out there.
Anyway, what she said is David Berto and she met with Ken Rika. And it sounds like he cannot put together a comprehensive proposal until we know what's happening with the survey. So Ken also noted that he could include the survey component in his proposal. But who knows when that would be done?
Right.
I guess
This is still for the soil samples on.
yes,
Oh, really?
yes. We haven't even gotten the survey.
We were talking about it like 6 months ago.
Oh, more. I know, yes.
We can't get anybody out there.
It is
Why, nobody
really,
wants to go out there and survey the soil?
well,
There's
Mike
nobody- there's
Alex,
Nobody available to do it.
Oh, because they're all
Yeah,
doing.
they're all.
Mike Alex had made a proposal. So the process is we have to have a proposal. We have to vote on it, has to go to the Board of Selectmen.
Right.
And if it's not less than $10,000, then we can go ahead and do it.
Sure.
So he was supposed, we were hoping he was gonna go ahead and do it because we had gone through that process, and since then, nothing's happened.
Yeah, so the money's been approved
Yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
for the survey,
Yeah. I gotcha.
which, and I did hear that. The selectmen have not voted on the ARPA money yet, and that's all coming through, but
Yeah.
housing,
we haven't heard about that yet
but
either.
the request for the, 7,000 for the next phase of feasibility is still in the mix, is all I know.
Okay,
But nothing has been decided, they were asking questions.
Yeah. Okay.
Clarifying.
so that's been a tremendous frustration for me, for sure. And I've been trying to get a hold of Bill in the last week or so and have not gotten anything from him. So I don't know what's happening. I do not know.
I know
But-
what's happened. I mean, my advice to you would be you go in to Sheila's office. There's gotta be a survey on record there, because this piece of land was given to the housing trust, right? As a donation.
Mm-hmm.
And then take a look and see who was the surveyor who did the survey. If indeed it was Mike Alex, then what you literally do is you go sit on his doorstep at 7 o'clock in the morning, wait till he shows up. And then you'll get his attention. He's really great, but he likes personal
Okay,
contact.
thank you for the
So it's something
suggestion.
to find out, and then you need a soil scientist, okay?
Yes,
And then again, it's just a matter of like going to the soil scientist's office. And, I mean, Daryl can tell you things are not easy
anywhere.
anywhere, but when you're doing something for a cause like this, and you take the time to go and, to
You make them
the
feel
person's
guilty,
office.
make them feel guilty and they'll do something.
You don't have to- I mean, people feel guilty enough already because, everybody's swamped, but, I mean, I just think Bill always has too much on his plate. Okay?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I mean, if Michelle, you could go, I mean, I can go in and look and see who did the survey, if there's a survey, I can't imagine there isn't, right?
There must be, right?
And-
Some
and-
point.
and I think,
I wouldn't say must be, because I was trying to find some of the town properties.
it's
you know.
astounding.
Well, just because somebody gave the piece of property to the town doesn't mean, there's no survey on the old town garage site.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And in the school, when I was looking for something over there, it's like from 39 and it still had like,
You might
town didn't
find
own all of it.
you might find something from 1930 on a napkin, but that's,
Right.
Yeah.
when we go to
Oh.
try to, honestly, when you go to try to do a permit for anything, some of the
Okay.
some of the properties that are in town are very napkinish,
Yeah.
as far as if you wanna pull a permit, you're out there with yourself with the tape measure, trying to locate the house on a property, because people can't afford to do an A2 survey. And just because they donate the land to the town, doesn't mean the town's gonna spend the money. What's an A2 survey right now is what, $2,500? To just, just didn't mark your property corners, forget doing it, just didn't forget anything else,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll go a little farther.
I just say, I had, for the tightest project, I mean, they did farm it out, but Cardinal Engineering, the town uses for bridges and a lot of town projects, had a surveyor do it, and it got done. Like, if we can't, if Mike really just can't get to this, we could try Cardinal, because they've done, they work with the town.
They have a surveyor that works with them.
Okay,
or
Yeah.
so the moment you introduce another surveyor, they will wanna do all their own field work. So.
So if it's been done before, it's better to get the
There's a
same one.
survey in there, even if it's an old survey, and the person is still alive, you know,
Yeah,
so.
Right,
if it-
preferable, but 6 months later,
Yeah.
You don't know where the real problem is in this. I have a sense of where the breakdown is. I'm not gonna say. I'm
okay,
not sure it really is right.
okay, okay.
okay, we'll do that. Thank you for your advice. Really, I appreciate
Thank you
it.
for putting up.
I appreciate your input. I don't care. Okay, so we have some suggestions about what to do to move this forward, and I think those are good suggestions. And let's see if we can get that done by next month. That'll be a miracle.
Will be, but at least movement.
Yes.
Let's see if we can get movement.
So, the next thing on the agenda is the informational meeting regarding donating land. We have spoken about that before. I was also gonna talk to Bill about possibly doing that because he has some expertise in that, or finding somebody else that could do that. To try and get people, encourage people to consider that if they want to get their land off the tax rolls for themselves, that they could donate it to the housing trust. So, does anybody have any particular suggestions about that?
Which I think, was that gonna be the topic for the next newsletter article? Didn't we maybe say that?
And when is the next newsletter coming out?
Comes out in March. The due
March,
date's
okay.
gonna be early February, so actually not that far away. Oh, I think,
Well, what does Steep Rock do to entice people to give all their land to Steep Rock?
People are more apt to do it. They just,
they're very visible.
yeah.
Right? I mean,
And there was a workshop or a Zoom workshop. I don't know, 6 months ago. That Steep Rock had put on
Mhm.
for that particular purpose. And that's what gave us the idea that maybe we should do the same thing for the housing trust. And of course, this land from Baldwin to Baldwin Hill was initially going to be donated to Steep Rock. And Bill Fairburn, they didn't particularly want it. It's not a particularly piece of land that they were interested in. So he suggested donating to the housing trust, and they did. Yeah. So we would like people to do that, to consider that. I think it's a little harder for the people that live here in town, that work, that have a lot of property in town, that, donating to that cause rather than preserving land for recreation or conservation. But I mean, I think we need to work on that.
Well, one of the difficulties, and I think Brian from Steep Rock has said this, is that their mission is not to provide affordable housing. Their mission is to protect the land.
Oh, yeah,
Now, he says also, but I know it's a huge problem, because the director has a hard time finding a place to live in
yeah, he
Washington,
can't.
right? So. But I still think most people just want undeveloped land.
yes,
What you're talking about is if somebody is using 15 acres, to see if there's a way of having half an acre that could be deed restricted within that 15 acres for a home, right? So I think there are paths to this, but I think it's sort of like a lot of these things, it's a complex problem to sort through.
and it's a lawyer issue too. I mean, we're not lawyers, so we don't really know how people are gonna be able to do that. So we need to find somebody that could be, inform us about it and
both-
inform the public.
And Jocelyn and Lindsay thought it was a great idea.
Yeah.
They wanted to offer it on Zoom to all of the northwest corner, and they haven't found anybody
Yeah.
to do this talk yet, so, but it's
Really?
still on their radar, yeah.
Hmm.
I know,
Okay,
which reminds me, I don't think it's on the agenda. No, but there is, I think I mentioned to you that with this land use workshop. There
Yes.
is, it's offered by the Bar Association, and there is one topic on affordable housing. So
and I
I
did,
don't know this attorney, but I was gonna maybe see if, just forward the name and see if maybe Jocelyn would reach out. To,
Yeah, I
you know, affordable housing is their wheelhouse, I'm guessing.
Right.
yeah, I was gonna bring this up, later, but there is this law, Connecticut land use law seminar, Saturday, March 11th. It's Zoom, right?
Yes,
Yeah, it is Zoom, but they have, materials that you know, you need to pay for. I don't think the town would, I mean, would the town pay, well, we can pay out of our own budget.
that,
Yeah.
We
the
have-
housing commission, there's.
We
that
have,
commission
out of
again,
our,
yeah.
yes,
I'm going for zoning, so I'm. already-
you are going, you
Yeah.
are good,
So-
And I'm gonna go.
I'm gonna go too.
I'm gonna be in Idaho, I'm gonna be a little bummed about the video call.
Absolutely, I know, all day Saturday on a Zoom.
I know.
I'm not psyched,
Oh,
but
man.
Shelley said it's
Gotta
really
get
good and
done.
informative, so.
The town has always paid for this for any
Yeah.
commissioner who wants to participate, so I don't know if they've changed that.
No, yeah, no, that's my impression too.
Yeah, yeah.
So anybody who wants to go that's on the commission is welcome to. But we
So,
just have to get the register, what did Shelley say, what was the due date by February?
February something.
17th.
No, wait a minute.
It's far enough away so you
Um,
forget to
No, I have it,
sign up.
February 13th.
And it's interesting,
So have you already filled yours out for
Yep,
that?
I already signed
Okay,
up for it.
you're already signed up for it. Great.
there are several of the sections that kind of talk a little bit about affordable, two specifically about affordable housing or Fair Housing Act. But then they're also gonna be talking about the housing, the enabling legislation.
Yeah.
So it will.
I think
also
it'll be
touch
very
on it.
helpful.
Mhm.
Okay. So next on the agenda is a review of our housing plan. Did I bring it? Oh, I have one copy of it. And what we should be doing about what's our job as the housing commission? I mean, there's things that the zoning has to do and planning, Board of Selectmen. So one of the things is under goal 1, number 3. If a parcel has not yet been subdivided since 1955, the property owner can subdivide a lot for affordable housing as long as it meets public health code requirements without being. What happened?
Oh, sorry, I thought we were logged out.
No,
Go
we're
ahead,
still
sorry.
there. We're
Oh, we
still
are,
there. I was
okay.
gonna just bring it up so that we could see it.
Oh,
So keep talking.
okay. So we need to make residents aware of this option somehow, at least once per year through newsletter articles. So
Yeah, what was
maybe,
the first part of that, Judy, that if the parcel had not been, I mean, so how many parcels are left in town that haven't been
Yeah,
subdivided
yeah,
since
that's my
nineteen fifty-five?
question, like, is that actually gonna?
I have no
that's-
idea.
I mean, you,
Do you
you
know?
walk around town and you look at the mansions being built, I mean, I think that might be something that has to be looked at from 1955, it is 2023.
Right,
There's probably very few parcels in
That have
town
not been,
that have been, I mean, there's very few original parcels left.
yeah, So, and, well,
I'm,
this-
I'm just saying, to meet that criteria, I don't know if it's possible. With, you know, if it hasn't been already subdivided since nineteen
so
fifty-five,
you think that most of the property has been
I
subdivided
do.
since nineteen
you know,
fifty-five?
or
We
it's, you know,
should.
or it's Steep Rock owned now or owned by, you know, the Whitehead Estate or, you know, the Averill properties, you know, all these big farms still, but I don't know, I don't know.
That's interesting. I don't actually know enough about, I didn't realize that that meant it had been subdivided, just because it's changed hand, but you're right.
Well, you think, I
Probably
mean, what,
piece- big
well,
parcel lots,
also, when we, you know, what, 10 years ago, we changed to soil-based zoning instead of 2 acre zoning, so. Or multi, you know, so, you know, the size of your piece of property per our zoning and wetlands
Yeah,
regulations now, I mean, you know, my parents have 14 acres up there and they've literally got a building lot. Just because of the soil-based zoning, and it's old, it's farmland forever. So it's, you know, the criteria that we've got in town here for a lot of these things are. I don't know how many undivided parcels you're gonna find from 1955 that would
right.
perk correctly per our soil-based zoning
Yeah,
regulations.
yeah,
To say, let's build a one-family house on it.
right.
I mean, look at my field. I mean, you've got the whole right-hand side of that property is septic.
Yeah,
To put in 8 houses.
Well, so that was like, in theory, one building lot, but it was, it had not been subdivided. So, and the proposal there is not what we wanted to build, we got pushed into that, okay, but. What you have effectively is, I think that's 4 acres down the center there with that field, original field. And so on the right-hand side of the driveway, that's all the septic and our own installed, and basically 2 and 3 bedroom. And then you got 13 houses, so you got 13 houses on 4 acres, including the septic. That was possible because there's a water company, right? So, I don't know how many properties are left that have not been subdivided since 1955, right?
I'm wondering if there's a way to search that. Do you
But-
think?
But my observation is that, that 14 acres definitely, that could handle more houses too, on that property. It's, God, whenever you get into.
So
the
it could be,
land use, it's
so are you
many
saying it could be
uses.
subdivided further?
So I think that property could be subdivided, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe there are properties.
Right, but it might not be what they're referring to, which I would call a first cut.
Yes.
Okay, where you don't have to go to the planning commission. You basically say, hey, I got 14 acres, I need 9 acres to get 1 density unit on my house lot. I got 5 extra acres, I'm gonna make it another lot. It would have to normally conform to soil-based zoning. But in this case, I think they're suggesting that if it's affordable, that extra acreage could be gifted to the town or to the housing.
Right.
Provided you could pass health department.
Right.
Well, it's one of the, I was not on the housing commission when you came up with these goals.
Yeah.
All
I
I'm
never
saying that
understood
this is
that.
a goal that
Well, I
Yeah,
think
We're
the
supposed to
members
be
at the
meeting.
time thought it was a good idea.
yeah, and Wayne was there as well. This is, subdivide that first cut, thing, not having to go to planning. I think that was sort of the enticement. I don't
But I
actually
think,
fully
I think
understand.
Mr. Wright's right, I don't know how many, and to make them aware that 3 people may be able to do that, maybe. Like, I don't think we need to make them aware of it as much as some of these other issues.
Although. I think if we were to write an article for the next newsletter about donating land. Like we're talking about. Understanding this subdividing regulation and. How it works, or to be able to explain it a little bit and what you can and cannot do. Might,
I mean, certainly as an
Yeah.
option, yeah.
yeah, right? I hear what you're saying, if it's not applicable to very many lots, why spend a lot of money communicating it? But
Right.
it seems that it would fit into an article about donating land,
For
somebody.
sure, yeah,
Somebody
for
sitting
sure,
on
in a
20
blur.
acres and say, hey, by the way, if it hasn't been subdivided since 1955, you know, you can do a first cut without going to planning or whatever the rule is, I don't really know.
Right.
So.
Okay, well,
Yeah, and I think that would.
maybe I'll bring that up at the, meeting I'm going to tomorrow with zoning.
Oh, PA 21.
Yeah, I'd be
Yes.
curious what Janet would think if,
Mhm.
like, I bet she may know.
Yeah.
You ask her at the top of her
And the next goal, which is to encourage the private giving, that's what we were just talking about and writing an article for the, town, but not the website, the,
Newsletter, the
Newsletter.
print newsletter that gets mailed home.
right. So that, I mean, because I went over these and then under goal 2, number 2, the duplexes and the townhouse. So that's basically, I think, what we're working on now with the multi-housing,
I agree.
multifamily housing.
Yeah.
And goal 3. Let's see, that was number 5, it's about letting those who rent their properties in town know about doing well or doing good. While doing good, promoting opportunity and housing choice by renting to voucher holders. I spoke to Missy about that and, she said she had one person that had a voucher or something.
in Washington.
No, it was, she said, actually, we asked if she had any
I thought she had-
experience, and I
I
don't
thought
think.
she had one that had come in, but had gone to another town with it.
Oh, maybe that's
Eventually
what it
had to
was.
go to another town because there was nobody.
I remember Jocelyn said like the rate for these vouchers is like much higher than what actual rents is costing, right? So like when people do that, they actually end up making more than they would necessarily from rents because it's there. Do you remember like when we were doing
Yes,
this whole
except
thing?
for what we found out when we were talking to Missy, because we were asking about this, in order to qualify for one of these,
You have to be really,
you have to be making like 30% of area median income or less. So, but we didn't really
30%
understand.
or
Areas-
less?
well, and it's
Of
hard,
area
it's hard to
median
get the
income.
vouchers. You get it through
Yeah.
the Danbury office of housing.
Yeah, Missy said she can't even process, you have to go down to Danbury.
Yeah,
So we were asking if she had experience with the program or had anybody asking about the program, because we wanted to know if we even had any voucher holders. Oh, and it has to be specific to a property, so you have to have a place lined up and then go, and then the people from the housing authority in Danbury that issue the vouchers have to go inspect the property. It's a pretty onerous program.
Gotcha.
I mean.
it's.
And the funding is dicey. Like they'll open it up and then they'll say it's closed for the year, like it, you know, once it opens. It did sound like though that once you're approved, you never get cut off. But for new people,
It's
Right.
very hard to get them.
yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds like it's really hard to
Yeah,
get.
well, maybe that's not the best way.
So
Yeah.
that might not be the best. Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
okay, so, I got an, email from Linda Gomez about our budget request for next year.
Mhm.
This is,
Did we get approved to get you, and Michelle some help? Wasn't that something that we had talked about doing?
There's clerk money in there,
Cool.
right?
yeah,
Yeah. And we did, when I looked up our budget, I forgot that we had gotten approved for some educational material.
Yes.
printing. Actually, we did print up some flyers for the down payment assistance program, and that's the only thing we've done so far. Oh, here's Lindsay. And she's logging in. I can stop sharing.
hi Lindsay,
Hi,
so glad you're here. We were talking about the Baldwin Hill property and the, email you had sent. And you're having another meeting on, the 18th?
Yep, yeah, we're meeting monthly. It's just a small group from the Washington Community Housing Trust that's on this Baldwin Hill Project Committee.
Right, but we're getting frustrated, to say the least. So, do you have any suggestions about, getting this survey and then the soil?
Yeah, well, the last I heard was that Bill was supposed to meet with the potential surveyor this week, and that he would bring the proposal and get it signed so that then that could be shown to the town in order to
So
get
is
the
this a
funds.
different one, a different person?
This would be Mike Alex.
Well, we have a proposal from him already.
It just needs to be signed and executed as a contract. Right? That's my understanding.
Okay,
And then that gets shown to the town so that the town can allocate the money for the payment.
well, the Board of Selectmen did approve it.
Okay,
I just assumed that he would do the work and then he would be paid.
right, okay. So maybe it's just that signatures need to, get on the paper and the work needs to be scheduled. I had told you I sent Bill an email.
Yeah,
And I
did you
can
get,
follow up with a phone call. I wasn't sure when he was supposed to be meeting with him this week.
did you get to contact him at all? Bill?
I did not. I haven't heard back yet. It'd be really great to get that moving. And then the other thing that we had emailed about and that I talked to the group about also was that Ken could include his firm does surveying as well if that's necessary, but hopefully it won't be. Hopefully that we can get going with this current survey.
Yeah, and if he were gonna do it, it would be good to separate the two because of the fact that if it's under $10,000, we don't have to go to a town meeting.
Right, yeah, good point.
What?
I thought you had $7,000.
No, 7,000 is the ARPA request that we
No,
heard
this is-
about. But what I would say is that if they're going to do both, they should bill for the survey separately because
That's
was
what I'm
is
saying,
approved.
yeah.
No, not just because
Oh.
of the limit, but because it was approved. We already approved $3,250 for the surveying at a housing commission meeting and at a board of selectmen meeting. So
Yes.
if somebody else does the surveying, they should bill it separately.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it should be Bill's stuff, right?
Yeah,
For
because
sure.
because there's no other money on the table yet approved.
Right, but it was approved for that particular amount of money. Who knows if another surveyor is gonna have that particular amount of money
Right.
either. Okay, what were we gonna say?
Question, I thought this was mostly focused on doing the soil.
First, the survey has to be done and then the soil.
Right, so basically, I don't understand why those two are not an integral whole. It's like-
Because if it's more than $10,000, it slows down the process.
Well, no, also, we couldn't get an estimate, but Bill got an estimate for the survey, so we're like, all right, well, let's just prove that. Like, that was, I think if the estimate had come forward for the soil samples, it would have.
Well,
been
certainly in
good.
6 months, we probably could have had a town meeting. For sure.
Exactly, right?
But we didn't think it was gonna be this delayed either, I mean, yeah, okay,
Right, yeah, they had a really hard time finding an engineer to provide a proposal. So that's what we're hoping to get maybe from Ken Ricka, who we're talking to now, but he needs the survey first, or at least some details about the survey.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway. To go to the budget. Did I? Oh, so this is the way it came to me. That's why it looks pretty terrible, but we had. Oh, that's just what we spent. This shows that we had $3,000 for printing, which I don't think we've used any of.
I think we did for the down payment assistance, or did I do that last budget?
I think I thought
I
you,
thought that was in the fall, but it was very small. I did a small run to bring to the realtors. It was like 50 copies or something.
it must have been $100, because it says, it's over, it's at minus 900. So it must have been 100.
Oh, that I think was the dues to the regional housing. It was the
It's on,
$100.
oh, membership, okay,
So maybe that,
I don't-
maybe
I
that down
think it-
payment assistance was the last year's budget and it came out of,
Yeah.
I don't know.
and miscellaneous was 250, which we haven't spent anything. We did finally get somebody to do the minutes besides myself. And so, that has been paid out. So I mean, I feel like we should just submit the same budget for next year. Does anybody have any other
No,
thoughts about that? Daryl, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I mean,
What?
asking for a little bit more and being denied is better than them just saying, you know. I mean, with all the things we have moving forward, we've got our fingers in the pies with the Baldwin Hill project,
Well,
the
we have,
habitat.
we have money for that.
But I'm just saying, would,
I would request that more goes into the non-recurring, the fund. So there's the commission money, the operating.
Mhm.
And then last year we requested, I think, a $50,000.
And we got 25.
And we got 25 going into the housing fund to be used for soil sampling
Right.
or
Or
for
purchasing.
purchasing a
Okay.
land, you know, anything to help with forest housing.
well, I'm just saying, I mean, with all the things we've talked about tonight with, you know, maybe helping somebody figure out a way to fill out a form if we had to hire somebody or could hire somebody. Maybe having a little extra budget money, if the town would give it to us. Having something in there and said, yeah, we've got Sally Sue who, you know, we're paying $20 an hour and she knows how to fill out these forms. I'm just, again, I'm new here, I just, you know, with all the things we've got that we've been talking about with all the new houses, properties and things like that, having a little extra capital in our bank account to help with printing or anything.
I think that's a great idea. Didn't we put, because we had also thought about consultant work. We were for whether it was legal advice or architect, you know, whatever. Did we get that? I don't have that in front of me.
No,
We didn't get, I thought we had 1,000 in there, no?
no.
So it was just
You want a
3,000.
copy of this? Here,
we actually
here,
Let me just
total
look at it.
asking for, Judy?
pardon me?
What is, how much are we asking for total? Is it which, out of which,
Well, what we budgeted last year was 1,000 for membership and education,
so here, okay, gotcha.
3,000
So we were
for
asking
printing.
for $5,210.
Yes,
Okay, great.
I mean, we didn't spend,
Yeah. I
we
see.
spent almost nothing last year.
All right, well then,
So I think it was at the 1,000, the membership education was kind of what we were thinking with consultants or whatever. Oh, this is extra.
Well, then,
But,
should we up that to 2,000?
sure.
well,
If they can also be used to help people fill out paperwork and navigate some of the bureaucracy of some of the website, I mean.
We
you
can,
can't do that.
we have to explain what we want it for, and we can explain that, yeah.
Yes, we need a tour guide.
we should, I mean, we were gonna ask those questions anyway. We were gonna ask Missy, we're gonna ask Habitat, we're gonna ask, you know, about this issue, but that seems like a great way to facilitate and help people use, you know, qualify for these houses. Or any other rental assistance that might be out there,
Yeah,
right? Down payment assistance, whatever.
all right, so I would do 2,000 for membership and education, including a consultant. 3,000 for printing, keep that the same. Because we want to do that for educating the public.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous, it's only $250.
Right.
And the board and secretary fees, that was based on the average that people get paid to write up the minutes for the
Yeah.
different commissions.
So we have a person named Amanda, is that what you said?
She's a selectman's assistant,
Okay.
Mandy Real.
So she, I guess, reviews the,
She listens to
Recording.
the recording and then types it up.
I send her the recording
Okay.
and she types up the minute.
Oh, technology.
So I'd like to say something about that. I think it's nice you've got somebody who's doing the minutes now, okay, instead of relying on a commissioner. I think the point I know that I was making is that you need a clerk. Somebody who actually comes to the meeting, who does the minutes and is responsible for following up on things that you decide. And so, I mean, I got spoiled working for years with people like Janet or Tammy or Dennis has been great on the sustainability committee. You need support.
So you have, so all those committees have somebody like that,
Yeah.
that does that?
Clerks.
Mhm, they
Yeah,
have a
so-
clerk that actually comes, the only one that doesn't is the EDC and
And I've been an
Randy.
advocate for you getting a clerk. not for
Yeah, I
you
thought
being-
that's what,
Pardon me?
I thought that's what it is, so Amanda's not the clerk?
Well, she is. She
Okay.
just is part-time, and so she watches, and she doesn't come, and she actually, once the minutes are done, she's kind of done. It's not like she's shepherding either,
Anything?
yeah, yeah.
So
So
that,
it's,
she's doing the minutes, she is not the clerk. And at planning the
Yeah.
other evening, one of the things Wayne said is we really need to start looking at more staff. Okay, so I would say that you should hold out for.
So
more
tell
support.
me what is planning doing? What do they have a clerk?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, all the commissions, the main commissions always have had clerks. And in some cases, you can have, like Shelley and a clerk, and I've even seen
Okay.
3 staff members attending some meetings at times. So, you know, and this was. the
So we need to look at the budget that these other commissions have for their clerks.
I actually, the way it's budgeted, it is kind of, the way it works, it's budgeted for a clerk. I think what you should do is have a conversation with Jim about, it's more of a personnel, like staffing
Right.
issue versus,
Okay,
you know,
so-
like a job description
Yeah.
versus just.
You're saying rather than taking it out of our budget, the town's gonna hire somebody else to maybe
No,
help
it's
clerk
it's
the.
in there, it's just like, there's a standard for, whether it's Tammy or Dennis, they all get a standard allotment for clerking, it's just that the way they do it is different.
It's a smaller amount that's budgeted for housing as opposed to planning.
right.
Or-
No, I think it's the standard. I think the standard is budgeted. It's just that it wasn't hired at the same.
Well, they're not getting what we get as sustainability from
Agreed.
Dennis,
Agreed,
right?
totally agreed.
Or
Okay,
wetlands or whatever.
so originally I was doing the minutes, because I
Right.
figured I'm a volunteer, I'm gonna volunteer and do the minutes. I mean, I really wasn't, and so they talked me into last year, putting in money for
Right.
a
So our first
clerk.
request
Talk to you.
in 2013 or 14, when sustainability, when planning said we need sustainability and we need economic development, we requested $2,500 because that's what the land use department said was required to have a clerk. We didn't get it. EDC got $55,000. So I think, I'm not trying to diminish what EDC gets, but I think we need to recognize the importance of this housing commission.
Okay,
And it's about time.
so I'm,
See,
okay. So do you agree that we should,
I think you should raise the board and secretarial fees up to, you know, $2,000, $2,500 and, you know, leave, and then, you know, we've already gone up, we got $2,000 on the membership, we got $3,000 for printing, which these days doesn't go far, $250 for miscellaneous, which whatever, and $2,500 for secretarial stuff.
Well, as Chris is pointing out, if you had somebody not just typing up the minutes, but then doing some of this follow-up, like,
Well, just going to Sheila tomorrow and looking for a map.
yeah,
right? Or-
exactly.
To Chris's point, hey, Sheila, let's see if there's a map on Baldwin Hill that was done in 1958. Or give her the task of looking into the files and seeing if there's any first cut properties that haven't been touched since 1955. Let her spend 4 hours on that between now and our next meeting.
Yeah. I agree.
So, yeah, administrative,
okay,
see what happens.
okay.
All I can say is,
I'll write it up and I'll talk to Jim and I'll And then we do have a discussion about it beforehand. Okay. I don't have anything else on the agenda. Does anybody want to bring anything else up? Besides Chris?
Quiet now.
Well, can I just, for the purpose of the minutes then, and the person who's transcribing them, that I just want to clarify that I'm not a formal member of the Washington Community Housing Trust, and I'm not officially speaking for them. I'm just relaying
Yes.
how I understand it.
At the meeting that you went to,
Correct.
at GAD, yeah.
Just, Lindsay, though, the housing trust does have a contract with the Center for Housing Opportunity, right, or whatever, like, there's, you have an agreement with them to work with them, right?
They are, well, I haven't received it yet, but it is supposedly in the mail. So with the 12, they'll be the 12th group that I'm working with, and they've all just signed very simple memorandums of agreement to work with the Litchfield County Center for Housing Opportunity in the shared staffing program, which is what we're calling my position. Yes.
So are they paying you, or do they have to pay the?
No, it's all covered. This is from Department of Housing funding.
Okay.
The first 2 years of my position. So it's just free. We just asked the groups to kind of sign this MOA, just making it a little more formal. So yeah, it's 12 groups, 12 towns, and they are one of them. I just need to receive the signed document, but it was mailed.
Okay.
Can I ask another question? I remember I was reading through some of the minutes, and along with those, with you working with these housing trusts, the Department of Housing gave the Center for Housing Opportunity money to do some of these initial work, some of the feasibility studies and stuff.
Yeah, so the seed funding. So we were just talking about that today. We're kind of guessing at what groups might ask for and how much to allocate. And so I know there is, we're assuming that the Washington group will request some of that, and we kind of have an idea of how much they might need. So yeah, that application's out. It's very simple. David Berto, the housing consultant that we work with, has submitted a couple of those on behalf of the housing groups. That's kind of the easiest way to do it. And he's attending all these meetings that I go to with Washington. So that is an option, definitely.
Great.
Up to 30,000 is what we're saying for this initial kind of feasibility work.
Total or per project?
Per project.
Total for all.
Per request, I guess, but probably per project total. I don't anticipate.
Oh no, that's a lot though. That's more than I thought. You mean for all 12 towns that you're working with? You could fund up to 30,000?
So the total amount that we have is 300,000. The idea is it'll be a revolving loan. So this will cover these initial expenses. And then once the group gets more permanent financing from DOH or wherever, that'll be repaid back into the fund so we can keep using it. But yeah, the idea is, I don't know. So yeah, not for all 12 groups, but some of the groups I'm working with are, Roxbury, they're brand new. They don't have a project. So, yeah, we kind of have an idea of how that initial round of 300 might break down, but we'll see who puts requests in.
So Lindsay, is it all right if I attend that January 18th meeting?
I guess so. I'm kind of trying to defer to the group because it's their thing. So I might check in with them. It's still kind of how
do I check in with them?
It's a subcommittee of these boards, basically these monthly meetings I have set up. So that would be fine though, but I could just double check.
I'm talking about the Zoom meeting that you're having for the Baldwin Hill project. Yeah,
so it's a committee meeting. It's a committee of the Washington Community Housing Trust.
And who's on that
committee meeting? So it's
is that Bill, Ted, and Brad?
Exactly. And then David Berto also attends.
Okay.
So what capacity is David attending? Is he the contractor for the project or?
He's the housing consultant. So we work, myself and Jocelyn work really closely with David. He's kind of the one that brings in all the money for all these projects. So
I know David, I've worked with him. I'm asking, is he is he still doing his company and developing projects, or is he retired and is just advising groups?
Yeah, I don't know if he'll ever retire. He's still doing his company is Housing Enterprises, Inc. So the idea is once these groups get funding from DOH, at some point that'll include some money for David's group and all the work he's done.
As you said, you need a rocket science or a scientist or a nuclear physicist or engineer.
All
for
the
key
parts. Yeah. So I should get in touch with one of those committee members to see if it would be all right for me to attend? Is that what you're saying?
Sure, you or I'm learning the dynamics of all these groups, so just trying to defer to them. This is
I'm trying to learn too, and I've been here for over a year trying to figure it out.
I
Okay,
would definitely ask, because I know when I was trying to figure it out, we were working on the affordable housing plan. They would not let me attend all of the housing trust meeting, like they would let me come and speak and then dismiss me to finish their meeting. So I would definitely
Okay.
ask them.
Well, and I will say we're not talking in the board meetings. I don't attend their board meetings either. They're talking about like, sometimes personal information. I'm sure people who live at their units. In this, we're very strictly talking about the project, so it shouldn't be as private, I would think.
okay. Thanks. Okay, the only thing I went to this little workshop on FAFSA that they had in New Milford for people that, want to know, but just some information for you.
Who did it? Was Chaffa did it, or was it?
Chaffa, yeah,
New Milford.
no, Chaffa did it. Yeah. So, I mean, it was good. There weren't very many people there. There were probably 2 or 3 people that might have been interested in actually, trying to find out the information about this, but they certainly made an effort to publicize this information. So I thought it was very good. Is there anything else?
You say there was a meeting tomorrow with the zoning commission?
The multi-family housing committee,
Yeah.
subcommittee,
That's
yes,
tomorrow.
that is tomorrow.
What time?
That is at 3:00. Upstairs. Because they failed to reserve this room. So it will not be on Zoom. Anybody else interested in going to that? I'll be there.
It's on my calendar, and
Yeah.
if I can, I will. I always put it on my calendar, and I usually get more work than I can
Okay.
do, but.
Motion to adjourn? Somebody?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. Thank you.
All right,
It
bye
would be
everyone.
so nice if we could get something done. We're certainly working hard at it.
Nice to see you, Lindsay.
Yeah, sorry I was late, but I'll look for the